Welcome to the Passing Through Podcast, a show dedicated to exploring those spaces not just within, but also between and around us. The cracks in the walls, the moments between the moments. I speak with thinkers, authors, artists, teachers, and everyday humans who have touched the edge of the ordinary and found something to bring back. Time is of the essence today, and that isn't because Donald Trump routinely threatens destroying the world so that every week begins with sweat-stained sheets, sleepless nights, tossing and turning, and nightmares of the doomsday clock inching ever closer to destruction. But it is because I am parked by a playground in Poland, and very soon, hordes of screaming children are going to descend upon this playground in unbridled fury, screeching, and exhilaration. Another reason that time is of the essence is because I did in fact sleep like shit last night. I think I got maybe 3 hours sleep, despite going to bed at 10 p.m. So let's just begin with the announcements here because they're quick. The first one is that I am in the process of leaving Spotify. I would love to take this podcast completely off of Spotify. You might be wondering, why would I do that? That's a good question. And it's because I disagree with Spotify's business model. They are exploitative towards artists. The CEO aggressively invests in AI-fueled militarism, which is maybe something that I'll get to at the end of this chat. And I don't want to be part of that ecosystem. So I am planning an exit strategy where I give you some notice. This will happen over the course of a few months. And gradually, I will pull all of my stuff off there and self-host it on my own site, which I have already begun building, which is my second announcement. I've built a website, thepassingthroughpodcast.com. You can go there. You could listen to all of the episodes. You can search their content. You can watch interesting, dynamic live transcripts with hand-coded little animations. I've been having some fun just directing my energy into building a custom little website where I don't need to be beholden to big tech behemoths who strangle artists, pay them pennies, bust unions, invest in destroying the planet and its people, human and non-human. So I figure what I could do instead is just build my own website and wean myself off of this toxic environment. And it's a hard decision. I wrestle with it. I go back and forth because I do believe that it is possible to make positive contributions in those spaces. That's what I hope this podcast is, after all. It's not just me telling you weird stories and biographic, episodic rambles from the inside of my van mixed in with fake advertisements, interviewing guests, and giving you this eclectic, itinerant pirate radio that I know you love so much. I want to have a little space that I can call home, and I think this is the way to do it. The third part of this announcement is that I would also like, my microphone is drooping. What is happening here? Let me fix this.
Come on, pick up.
Hello?
Yo, you're not gonna believe this. I'm outside of school and something crazy happened. I wish I had a way to call everybody, but I've only got $1.
You've got $1, one payphone, and 6 friends who all need to hear this. Now what?
Hello?
Yellow?
Who's this?
Yes, hello?
Yo, what up?
Introducing Tenta-Call, the world's first group collect call from any payphone anywhere in America. One call, everyone on the line, all at once. Just dial 1-800-Tenta-Call, say your name, and tell the operator who to connect. Tenta-Call does the rest, reaching up to 8 friends in seconds. They accept the charges, you make the plans.
Friday night? You in?
Yeah.
No calling card,
Obviously.
no
Me too.
account, no problems ever again. Tenta-Call has been used by over 2 million callers this month alone.
I called my whole crew from a payphone outside the stadium. Tenta-Call had everyone on the line before the second quarter.
Next time you're at a payphone,
What
don't
the
choose who to
fuck?
call.
Holy
Call
shit,
everyone.
What is that thing? There's a giant fucking monster.
Dial
descending
1-800
on the fucking stadium.
Tenta-Call. That's 1-800-TENTACALL.
Worst,
Available at
worst
payphones
catastrophes
nationwide.
in the world.
Tenta-Call.
Holy fuck.
Reach out and
Oh,
grab
God.
everybody.
Do anything.
Standard per minute rates apply.
Oh my
Exemptions
God.
apply in non-Euclidean cities under the South Pacific Ocean.
I can't even
Telecom
describe
is a
what I'm seeing.
subsidiary
This
of
thing
the
came out of the
Dulles
fucking
Corporation.
ocean.
Recipients may decline charges.
Its tentacles are just destroying absolutely fucking everything.
Okay. Another announcement is that I would like to also pull myself off of Instagram because I disagree with Meta's business practices, which are replete with all sorts of harm I've discussed in previous episodes with previous guests. So I don't want to relitigate all of that stuff here, but they are also one of these big tech behemoths that I think is doing unprecedented harm to us culturally, to our attention spans, to our values, to beauty standards, to so many things, not to mention the deep, 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 deep considerations that each of us should have around surveillance and data privacy, which Meta has time and again, along with Google, along with Amazon, along with Apple, though Apple fanboys would like to have you believe otherwise, have all been sort of colluding with the government to basically build out a kind of tech surveillance oligarchy where all of our data is harvested and mined and cataloged and analyzed to be used against us. And if you think that that's hyperbole, you could listen to AOC talk about this here.
Unfortunately, the leaders of this industry have repeated time and time again that they view working people as an endless, untapped market to be manipulated and exploited, that they would sell our country out if it meant that they could turn a profit. And it is no surprise that in the 4 years since ChatGPT was released, we have seen AI deployed at a massive scale to create Big Brother-like surveillance. Every day, Americans are seeing videos of ICE agents waving phones into crowds, threatening that if they use their First Amendment rights, U.S. citizens using their First Amendment rights, that they will be added to some vague database that the American people have not consented to nor are knowledgeable about. Companies like Palantir are mining endlessly the data and privacy of the American people, keeping track of everything that they say and do, and sending it all to a militarized and centralized government. When you take the subway, when you share a TikTok, when you talk to your Alexa at home, they are collecting your data and figuring out new ways to weaponize it. And now they are using AI tools to automate this so that it is not only pervasive, but that it is effortless. We must sound the alarm now. And because of this surveillance of the American people is not going to stop, we must stop it. All of this harm has occurred not in spite of, but because of the absence of federal legislation to regulate AI.
And I'm thinking of doing an entire episode on this topic because it's something that I am increasingly passionate about the more I learn about the topic. And it reminds me of a movie that I saw when I was a kid with Will Smith and I think Gene Hackman called Enemy of the State. And this movie must be 20 years old by now, maybe older. And that movie was kind of prophetic in the way that it depicted a dystopian future in which all of your movements could be tracked, you could be surveilled anywhere, and you were at the mercy of an oppressive, technologically sophisticated surveillance state. That movie was kind of thriller action sci-fi at its time, But now, the world we live in now, today, I would argue is more dystopian and more insidious in more subtle ways than that movie could have even ever anticipated. So stay tuned for that. That will come out sometime in the coming weeks. And just to give you a sneak peek of that, it'll include stuff like AI-assisted time-based dynamic pricing, which if that's something that sounds surreal to you, that's something that Walmart hopes to roll out to all of its stores. That's right, each and every one before the end of this year. You know how Uber has surge pricing when all of a sudden prices go up because everybody's looking for a ride? Imagine that after the group chat has all gone to Taco Bell and suddenly the demand for toilet paper at Walmart is surging. That could be our world by the end of the year. So stay tuned for stuff about that. Back to the announcements. Because I'm leaving Instagram, and as you see, all of these announcements are connected. I'm leaving Spotify. I am building a website. I'm leaving Instagram. And because I'm leaving Instagram and Spotify, my social media presence is deteriorating. And because that's deteriorating, and because this is a podcast, which relies on word of mouth and discoverability and accessibility where people can find it in the places that they'd expect to find it, I understand that this will be potentially harmful to growth, to raising awareness, to spreading the word. And so this is why I wrestle with leaving these platforms, because at least while I'm on them, I can be a kind of little counterculture, sun through the clouds, little glimmer of light in the darkness. And when I'm completely gone, that's lost. So it isn't a decision I undertake lightly, but where I am now, and I'm already down the road of having built the website, seems like this is the right direction to go in that's more aligned with my values. And that isn't a judgment on anyone who continues to use these platforms, because I still use them. And I do think that it is a gray area and it's nuanced, and there isn't a right or wrong way to use these platforms. I mean, I actually do think that there's a wrong way to use these platforms if you're using them to spread misinformation, launch disinformation campaigns, and target vulnerable minority populations to espouse certain ideologies. I think that that's problematic for sure. I think by and large, most people aren't doing that. Those are rare edge cases. So that's what I mean when I say there isn't a right or wrong way for an average person to engage with these platforms. They're tools, right? They are sort of like digital common spaces that we go to and connect. Unfortunately, the way that they have been architected leads us to connect in increasingly harmful, adversarial, incendiary, and unproductive modes of communication. So there's that. But to sort of sidestep all of that, I decided to also create a Substack. So not only will I have a website, I will also have a Substack where I go and write sometimes short, sometimes long pieces that are either about some of the topics that I discuss on this podcast, maybe continuations on a theme, maybe variations on a theme, maybe something completely unrelated to the content of a given episode. Could even be a meme or, a bizarre Twilight Zone style 90s commercial that you might hear on the radio if you were on acid hanging out with somebody who really liked H.P. Lovecraft. Maybe. And so those are all of the announcements that I wanted to make here. So that's where I'm going to leave you. As always, be good to one another. And I'll talk to you next time. Thank you for passing through today. Yeah, you, dear listener. Thank you for your support, for your attention, for spending some time with me and this episode's guest. If you're enjoying this content, please subscribe, rate it, like it, tell your friends about it, buy a billboard somewhere next to a highway promoting it. I mean, I'm kidding, of course, but your support really does mean a lot to me. So thank you for listening, and I will talk to you next time.